Tara Hohoff, and I'm a bat biologist with the Illinois Natural History Survey. Our program began in 2016, and we were established with Pittman Robertson funds, and we are in collaboration with the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. We work really closely, especially to identify sites that they're interested in bat data or where we have gaps in bat data. We can focus on those areas. So what we do is we're following the North American Bat Monitoring Program protocol, and it has us doing stratified surveys throughout the state. And so we're not able to say, oh, we would like to really survey in these really great bat habitats. We're surveying all different types of habitats in Illinois. And we're doing stationary surveys where we put out a recorder for a few nights. And then we also do mobile surveys where we're driving around with a microphone on top of the vehicle and we're collecting data along the road. So currently we are collecting at 30 locations, but within those 30 locations we have 2 to 4 acoustic recorders. So there's quite a few acoustic recorders throughout the state. And then we have 2 driving transects for each of those 30 sites. And we try to focus in the summer, and we're trying to focus when before the young are volant. So before the young of the year would be flying, we're really trying to aim for bats are usually pregnant in the late spring, early summer, and they have their young midsummer. So we're really trying to collect that data before the young are born and flying. So when we're doing our driving transects, we collect usually not a ton of data. We get more data from our stationary recorders. But the benefit of the mobile transect is we're driving around, so we're collecting in different types of habitat. So I'm going to run the data from the site that you were at and see what we pick up. Right now I'm seeing a lot of noise files so far. So our recorders are set to pick up high frequency sounds, but you're also going to be picking up sometimes when we're driving on gravel roads, rocks will hit the metal and that creates ultrasonic sound. Insects create ultrasonic sound. Leaves rustling creates ultrasonic sound. So we're picking up a lot of noise files. Right now we've gone through 100 and only 3 so far are bats. So this is really common with the mobile transects, especially. Picking up a lot of noise and just a few bats is very common. But I do see a few bat calls, so we can look at those and try to find out what species they are. So this program is running through the files. There's multiple different kinds of programs you can use. I'm currently running the data through Sonobet, but we also run the data through Kaleidoscope so that we have 2 sources of data. And the program right now is going through each file, and with each file it looks to see, is this a bat? So we're looking for these repetitive echolocation patterns. And if it sees those patterns, then it will try, okay, so it's done. It will try to identify the species. And so to identify the species, it's looking at the high frequency of each of those echolocation pulses, the low frequency, the slope of the call, the duration of the call. So it's doing a multivariate analysis and trying to decide which species is this. It's not a perfect system. There is some overlap. Something I've heard said a lot is, birds use sound to communicate with each other within their species. And so you have that really species-specific sound. With bats, they're using echolocation as a tool. And so that tool is going to be very similar in similar environments. So a bat flying through a really cluttered environment is going to be using the same type of echolocation calls as another species. So ideally we want to be recording free-flying bats that are just sort of navigating their normal environment. So unfortunately with this one, we have 13 that were supposedly bats and 2 that are believed to be evening bats. So we can look at those and see what we pick up. So I'm going to pull up, okay, here's one of the bat calls. This is definitely a bat. You can see those really repetitive patterns, pretty similar. This is some background noise at the bottom. But this is a pretty good call. Not a lot of noise. We have a little bit of an echo here. But this is definitely a bat. And it says it's an evening bat. As long as if I don't see a lot of noise or anything that makes me think that the computer program is making an incorrect decision, I usually go along with what it says. But yeah, these are actually pretty good. This one says it's a red bat when I zoom in on just one. So this is where it gets confusing is, as the bat is getting closer to the microphone and then moving away, you're going to get better quality calls as you're getting closer to the microphone. And then, the quality goes away again as the bat passes the microphone. So what I want to look for is those really good quality calls that are right near the microphone. And I'm just going to go through a couple of the other files and see what we see. Let's see if I can play this sound. Okay, so yeah, that was probably a bug. That one. I'll play this. So there's two options for playing the sound on here. You can play the real sound, what was recorded. It is changing the frequency so that we can actually hear it. And then there's also an option to kind of slow it down. You can hear it a little bit better. So yeah, that was, it's quick. It's very fast. And then this is the slowed down version. So that is what we're looking for. And yeah, mostly what I'm doing is looking visually to see if these are correct. So this one it said was noise, but this one is obviously a bat call also. I'm surprised I missed this one. It's a pretty good call. This one's really good too. So this one's probably an eastern red bat. But yeah, so I really like this part of my job. I think it's really fun to kind of sleuth around, try to figure out what the species is. Look, it's like you're looking for clues. Okay, it has this high frequency, it has this really bouncy call, and kind of trying to figure out what species they are, and kind of see into the dark and see what's out there. The species that we're commonly finding with the acoustics are the big brown bat, which is a very common habitat generalist. It has really adapted to man-made structures. The eastern red bat, which is a foliage rooster. It's red and it tends to hang looking like a dead leaf. That's why it has that reddish color. But we're seeing them being pretty common in Illinois anyway. They are highly impacted by wind turbines, and so as wind energy increases, that's one that we're watching as we're increasing wind energy in the state. And then the hoary bat we see pretty frequently in open areas. They have a really low frequency call. We actually don't tend to pick them up in the mist nets when we're catching bats. So it's really important for us to monitor their populations using the acoustics. And their acoustic call is really unique, and so it's great to use the acoustics for the hoary bat. We're not able to estimate abundance with acoustic data because we don't know if we have 10 hoary bat calls. We're not sure, is that 10 hoary bats or was it one hoary bat that flew 10 times around the recorder? So we're not able to estimate abundance, but we do look at activity estimates and say, well, there's a lot of bat activity, and so potentially that means it's higher quality habitat if a bat is spending more time in these areas. And then another thing we do is look at occupancy. So how many species are occupying this site versus another site? And assuming most likely that higher species occupancy might also mean higher habitat quality. And we look at species distribution. Why are some species in certain areas, not in others? And then we can use those species distribution maps for siting wind farms and making some decisions on a regulatory basis with those species distribution maps.